What up, everybody? This is your boy Dedrian Colon from House of Rasslin, and this is my review for the January 6th episode of WWE Smackdown. Like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the notification so that way you're notified when the House of Wrestling drops its latest content. Follow me, Dedrian180, on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. So, tonight's WWE Smackdown. Of course, there was a lot of things surrounding this episode of SmackDown. Of course, you had the announcement of Vince McMahon returning to the board of directors. All this transpired within a 24-hour period, so you just had a lot of discussion as far as, is he coming back to creative? You know, is he going to do all these cuts and budget cuts and releases and just a lot of stuff that overshadowed what a lot of us have been enjoying about WWE for the last 5 months since he's hasn't been in creative and Triple H has taken over. And yeah, it really somewhat overshadowed SmackDown. You could tell the first part of the show, and then once it got to the Charlotte Sonya Deville segment, that's when you seen like a shift where, okay, let's have some fun and let's do some things. But yeah, it was really interesting how the show started. It was just maybe it was just me. Comment below what you guys felt about SmackDown, like the earlier part. But yeah, it was just a really interesting vibe with SmackDown, and for me, it just felt like the authentic momentum. Not saying that the momentum they had before wasn't authentic, but it was just there was a genuine enthusiasm and excitement from the fans that, you know, with Triple H taking over, it's like, oh man, you know, I can't wait for the Royal Rumble. You know, of course, they're letting stories play out, and, you know, Bray Wyatt, that thing's playing out maybe a little bit too long, but there are stories that they're playing out, and it's like, all right, man, this is bringing out a few people. They just signed Dragon Lee. It's like, all right, let's see how this goes. And yeah, the last 24 hours just really, I don't want to say sucked the enthusiasm out of the brand entirely, but it did, like, just it was a punch to that enthusiasm where we're just like, it's like what I'm seeing tonight could possibly change within a month. And there's a lot of things that has to be done in order for the possibility of Vince McMahon taking over creative. I recommend you guys check out Brandon Thurston on WrestleNomics. He does a breakdown of that. Of course, Sean Ross Sapp, Mike Johnson with PW Insider, they really break down, you know, a lot of stuff that transpired in the last 24 hours. I recommend you guys check them out, because there's a lot of things going on that's gone on and that will go on going into WrestleMania. So just don't believe everything that's going to be out there. Just, you know, those who have reported things factually and fairly and not off of opinion. Just, hey, just to bring clarity to some things. So yeah, it was just an interesting SmackDown overall. The ending was pretty cool, and of course the Bloodline never disappoints, and we're getting closer to that eventual Sami Zayn. Yeah, buddy, they're gonna beat you out. So before I get into the show, I'm gonna give you guys the results. So we had Kofi Kingston and Santos Escobar in the first match. Santos Escobar defeated Kofi Kingston. Then we had Karrion Kross and Scarlett Bordeaux defeat Emma and Madcap Moss. Then we had an impromptu match. We had Charlotte Flair defeat Sonya Deville. Then we had Ricochet defeat Top Dollar. So Ricochet has a spot in the Royal Rumble. Then in the main event, you had the Usos defeat Sheamus and Drew McIntyre to retain the WWE Tag Team titles. So that is the results for WWE Smack. It's been a long 24 hours for me just monitoring this whole McMahon thing, because really came out of left field. So bear with me, guys. But yeah, let me know what you guys think of the whole thing that's transpiring in WWE, and especially tonight's show. So the show begins with the Bloodline, typical like Monday, where they were just came in. it's cool that they call us chaos, but like, can it be something different? Because it was similar, it's almost identical to what transpired on Monday, where they came out through the crowd and they tore over the announce table and all that other stuff. And Roman comes out, crowd, of course, chanting Usi. So he mentions, or actually, no, it wasn't him. It was Sami Zayn. Forgive me, guys. Mentions this year belongs to the bloodline. Then Roman goes, I didn't lose. Sami lost. And he looks at Sami and he's like, why did you guarantee a win? You want to be tribal chief? Do you think you're me? Kevin Owens comes out and he's like, the last time I was the cause of your dissension, which was actually true. And shout out to Will Washington. He pointed it out from Will Washington from Grab City. He pointed out that Roman Reigns and Kevin Owens have fought this will be the third time they fought at Royal Rumble. It's like every other year they fight at Royal Rumble. It's really interesting. But yeah, Kevin Owens mentioned this the last time, or last time I was the cause of all this dissension. It always seems to be a recurring theme. Your problem is with me. And he's like, you know what? Why don't we do this at the Royal Rumble for the Universal Championship? And before he leaves, he looks at Sami Zayn. He's like, you know what? I'll see you when you dig your balls out of Roman's pocket. And it's like, ooh, ooh. So, of course, this opening segment is doing two things. One, it's building to the match between Kevin Owens and Roman Reigns at Royal Rumble. But also, the bigger thing, it is building and it is planting seeds for the eventual turn on Sami Zayn. It started with Sami getting loud reactions and getting more cheered. Then it's Sami thinks he wants to be just like Roman, and he's guaranteeing things and not delivering. So they're building the what I see is that they're building towards what will be the reason why they turn on him, is that he thinks he's us. He thinks he's equal like us, but yet he doesn't deliver like we do. That's the logical point. If you guys have been following my reviews as far as the bloodline, whether it's Raw or SmackDown, I've been saying that there's going to be a logical reason why they turn on Sami Zayn, and that actually is a logical reason, because the Usos are winning, Roman's winning, Solo's winning, but Sami's not winning. So the logical thing is that if you are in the bloodline, whether family or honorary, the main thing is to win. There's no losing in the bloodline. And that's the logical point. It makes sense. For me, it makes sense. Let me know if it makes sense for you guys. So then we get to the first match, Kofi and Santos Escobar. So you have, I want to say, yeah, the first two matches like kind of just went by really quick. I'm not going to say, like most people would say, oh, they went through the motions. Or I wouldn't say they went through the motions. It's just, we don't know what's going on backstage, especially with what's transpired with Vince returning to the board of directors. So we don't know what's going on. But for me, it did come across like it wasn't. I love Kofi Kingston's work, and I enjoy Santos Escobar's work, especially when he was in NXT. It just, like, there wasn't that aggression. There you go. That aggression and grit in this match. And you could say the Karrion Kross, Scarlett, Madcap Moss, Emma match, like it just didn't have that aggression and grit to it. So Kofi and Escobar, they announced that we're 3 weeks away from the Royal Rumble. So there's a lot of things that are going to be accelerated in this 3 weeks. I believe the Raw 30th anniversary is within the 3 weeks, or maybe after Royal Rumble. Comment below, when is the Royal Rumble? Not the Royal Rumble. The Raw 30th anniversary. Comment below. I believe it's I think it's the Raw before Royal Rumble or the Raw after. I'm not sure. Just comment below. So they announced that. Um, this was a okay match for me. It was a little bit back and forth. There wasn't anything, um, what these guys normally do as far as like big spots or just like, ooh, okay. This was just like very um, vague it was a very vague match. It wasn't anything that was like, oh my God, this is the greatest match, or oh my God, this is just boring. Like it was just very, um, just there. And I can't even say average because I like the ending. The ending, it had Del Toro. He distracted the ref, and then Escobar hit the Phantom Driver for the pin. That was it. And I don't know. It's weird because now thinking about it, you have Kofi who came out with Xavier, and I believe they're still the NXT champions. I haven't watched NXT uh, this week, but I don't know. It's just really interesting how this match played out. Like it was really, I was anticipating something more, like, because they've had like solid opening matches on SmackDown the past several weeks, and it's just like this felt like a match that you would have like halfway through SmackDown, not like to kick off SmackDown. Because, like I said, the past several weeks, like the opening matches on SmackDown been fire. Like it was like, oh man, all right, man, it's Friday night, man. Let me just chill, enjoy this, man. It's like, all right, cool, but it was just like something was missing. So then they make it official after this match that Roman Reigns and Kevin Owens will be wrestling at the Royal Rumble. That should be pretty cool. Then we get a backstage segment with Sami Zayn. He knocks on the Bloodline's door. Heyman answers. He's like, it's not a good time. He's like, remember what I told you about the 3 steps ahead and 3 steps behind? Take heed. And before he leaves, he tells Sami Zayn, I still love you. So, like I said, they're telling you what they're going to do without telling you what they're going to do. And it's pretty obvious what they're going to do. Like I said, Sami Zayn he doesn't win, and he's winning because of the bloodline. He's not winning in spite of the bloodline. Big difference. So after that, we get a backstage segment with Liv Morgan. She's announcing that she wants to be in the Royal Rumble. Then we go to LA Knight. He feels damn good, and he mentions Bray Wyatt. Surprisingly, there wasn't anything with Bray Wyatt on the show as far as like Uncle Howdy or Bray. I don't know if that had anything to do with the Vince McMahon stuff or anything like that. Again, this is just me speaking. There's nothing reported. I don't think there's anything to do with the Vince McMahon returning to the board of directors. But I did feel like it was a bit peculiar that Bray Wyatt wasn't on the show or something kooky or anything. Maybe I missed it. Because like I said, the first part of SmackDown up until the Charlotte Sonya interaction, like it really didn't draw me in. It was just like, all right, this, okay, this, okay, this. And like I said, the first couple of matches, like it just really, there was no aggression or grit that they've had the past several SmackDowns on the matches and everything. It was just really, like I said, really vague. So yeah, he's talking about the Royal Rumble match between him and Bray Wyatt, a pitch black match sponsored by Mountain Dew. I don't know what that match is, and it is what it is. So from there, we get Karrion Kross and Scarlett versus Madcap Moss and Emma. And one thing I do want to point out, from the first match and this match, this was the second match. The third match would be Charlotte and Sonya. Like, the crowd was very just quiet. And mind you, this is Memphis. Memphis is known for, it is a wrestling town. Of course, with the Jerry the King Lawler and the Memphis territory with Jerry Jarrett and Jeff Jarrett and stuff like that. Like, it's a wrestling town. And like the first couple of first 30 minutes, it was just like very quiet. And this match, of course, they recap what happened 2 weeks ago when Emma slapped Scarlett. Match started off, Emma just got a lot of offense in on Scarlett. Then Emma kicked Scarlett in the head. Then, again, the crowd got a little reaction. Madcap Moss, he tried to do, later on in the match, a shoulder to the abdomen to Karrion Kross. He missed, hit the ring post. That allowed Karrion Kross to execute the cross jacket for the pin or the win. And then afterwards, Kross puts a Mysterio mask on Moss and then puts a card on his chest and taunting Rey Mysterio. And man, now that I think about it, it would be cool, and maybe they will do this. Maybe, just maybe, because we've had the videos of Rey Mysterio and Dominic Mysterio and Rhea Ripley. Like, it actually would be pretty cool if Karrion Kross joined Judgment Day. That actually would make sense, considering think about it, Karrion Kross is taunting Rey Mysterio. Dominic Mysterio is taunting his dad. Dominic Mysterio has Rhea Ripley. Karrion Kross has Scarlett Bordeaux. So it makes sense to put these two together to go after Rey Mysterio. I'm just saying, it's already there, and actually I wouldn't be surprised if there is some interaction between these four people regarding Rey Mysterio. Just saying, keep an eye on that. That might be something we see in the next few weeks or next few months. Just keep an eye on it. So from there, we get, bear with me, guys. We get a recap of Ronda and Charlotte last week, which that was really unexpected. It was reported that Charlotte would be there, but it wasn't anything that we saw coming that Charlotte would walk away with the SmackDown Women's Championship, which a lot of people are like, oh my God, I'm so happy. Ronda doesn't have the title. Charlotte has the title. For me, I don't care as long as it's entertaining. I did like Ronda's run. The only thing I didn't care too much for Ronda's run was that they, instead of just having her as a submission technician that just wants to annihilate people, they had her come across as like someone that's cocky and talk like just expressing an attitude that's over the top, not something that's just like someone that's cocky, but just like, yeah, they're cocky, but they scare the hell out of me. Like, it was more cocky, like, we know eventually you're going to lose. Like, it was too foretelling of what was going to come. And I believe with her and Shayna Baszler, like, those are MMA fighters. Like, come on, man. Like, you don't do that. Like, they're straight killers. You know, they're beasts. Like, they're shooters. Like, you just don't let them just beat people up and just take titles. Like, that's what you do. And that's the only thing I didn't like about that run. So we get a backstage segment or video with Sheamus and Drew McIntyre at a bar. They're slapping each other in the back obnoxiously. And then you got the crowd in the bar chanting and banging on chairs and that whole thing. Then we get Charlotte Flair coming out. She comes out. She's like, did you miss me? Or did you miss your queen? She mentions that she has passion, consistency, and dedication. Complacent, I'm not. I knock down any obstacles that are put in front of me. That's the reason why I'm a 14-time champion. Sonya Deville comes out. Sonya Deville, she's talking, and this is when the crowd went to another, like, this is when the show changed. Like, for me, it was just the atmosphere, the enthusiasm, the optimism, like, all that just changed where it got more of that when the crowd just randomly started chanting, whoop that trick, whoop that trick, whoop that trick. And if you're not familiar with that line, it is from the Terrence Howard film, Hustle and Flow, way back in the day. Like, dope theme song and everything. I love that theme song, but that's where the line came from because it was in Memphis, and that was hilarious. I'm like, yo, these dude, like, they chanted "whoop that trick," like the crowd was chanting it. And what added to this was Sonya's like, put that title on the line, and then Charlotte's like, challenge accepted, trick. And I'm like, oh, that is so dope to play it up to the crowd. Like, I like that. We get this match, Sonya and Charlotte. This was a decent match. Again, it kind of falls into the first two matches where there wasn't a lot of aggression and grit, but the crowd was into this match after they started chanting "whoop that trick," and I enjoyed that. It literally changed the atmosphere of the show going forward. And I mean, there was a point where Charlotte just gave a nasty big boot. Then there was a point where she did a front cartwheel that turned into a clothesline or something like that. But she executed the move. Then she wound up executing the spear, got the figure four, and then turned into the figure eight. Sonya Deville tapped out. That was it. Charlotte wins. Like I've been saying, I kind of wish that they would put Sonya Deville with Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler. They just fit. I don't know how they're not doing this and not seeing it. Like, they fit. Like, Sonya Deville and Ronda Rousey need a mouthpiece, and that mouthpiece is Sonya Deville. It's there. But man, Charlotte looked good. It's good to see her back and everything. And man, whoop that trick, man. And they didn't say it not only in this match, they said it a few times for the rest of the show. Like, that was pretty cool. So then we get a promo of Cody Rhodes returning to 2023. Of course, it's a similar video package that they aired on Raw this Monday, so we're getting Cody Rhodes really soon. I would not be surprised if it's on the 30th anniversary of Raw. If it's not there, it is definitely going to be at the Royal Rumble, so I could see that happening. I'm looking forward to that return. Just the energy, the enthusiasm, the excitement, the passion, everything that Cody Rhodes is as a character, like, I miss that. And it's fun to have that because, man, he's got his dad and his brothers, that charisma that you can't teach. You just have it. And can't wait to see him in the ring and when he comes back and everything. And just hear, like, I know he's going to get that huge pop when you just hear doom doom. Wrestling has more than one royal family. And then adrenaline in my soul, like, once that kid, like, oh, I know that crowd is going to go crazy. So I'm waiting for that. Then we get Ricochet versus Top Dollar. Before we get to the match, we get a Lacey Evans promo. And man, for me, I don't know if this is harsh, but it does feel like they're treating the Lacey Evans character similar to Lars Sullivan, in that there's just, like, of course with Lars Sullivan, it's a totally different, like, there's just some crazy stuff going on, stuff like that. But it just feels like it's under the same umbrella as far as, like, of course, Lacey Evans, she tweeted some things that a lot of people did not like, and me personally, like, there's just certain things you just don't tweet, especially if your persona on social media is a character on TV. Like, there has to be a balance, and of course, whatever you post on social media, especially if you're a wrestler or celebrity, like, it's gonna get dissected. And yeah, I don't understand why, but that's a whole nother video and topic and everything. But it does feel like the Lacey Evans character is going in that route where we're doing it, but there's just something that's not clicking. And it's just like, all right, this is something they're doing, but it's not clicking. And yeah, And this is all, and the reason why I say that is they've already done vignettes, like different vignettes last year about a return. And she came, like, it's just really weird what's going on with the Lacey Evans character in WWE. It is just very bizarre and weird, and I don't know what it is, but when she comes, she's gonna probably be in the Royal Rumble or something like that. But so they air that. So Ricochet and Top Dollar. Ricochet is executing a lot of quickness, but then Top Dollar, man, he is displaying a lot of power and aggression. And this is not a face Top Dollar. He is showing some heelish tactics in this match. And mind you, he's getting some offense and some power and just choke slamming and everything. And Ricochet counters, and Ricochet gets to the top rope. He winds up doing a shooting star press. Then he pins Top Dollar. 1, 2, 3. That was the match. Like, literally, that was the match. And it's weird. It was almost like a squash match. So Top Dollar afterwards, this is where everything gets more interesting. The match was very quick, but this is where it got interesting. Top Dollar shakes Ricochet's hand, and he's holding it, and you could kind of tell something was going to happen. Either Ricochet or Top Dollar was going to clothesline Ricochet. Somebody's going to do something. And, of course, Adonis hits Ricochet. He kicks Ricochet. B-Fab kicks him. Then they beat down Ricochet. And then, as they're beating him down, Strowman's music hits. Yes, Braun Strowman music hits. And what was really weird about this segment is Top Dollar expression where he's just like, and then he goes mean, and then it was like, huh? Like, all right, it is what it is. So, Top Dollar, Braun Strowman, that could be a future match on SmackDown and possibly an encounter in the Royal Rumble. So we shall see. Then we get a backstage segment of the Usos solo with Roman and Paul Heyman. Roman's like, hey, bring Sammy. And Paul Heyman calls Sammy. Then we get a video package of Braun Strowman. Then we get back to a backstage segment with Sammy and Roman. Sammy's like, I acknowledge you. And Roman responds to Sami Zayn. He's like, I don't accept your apology. I hold myself to a high standard. I should be apologizing. KO was right. I'm mad at him. We'll fix this. Your opportunity of redemption is going to be Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens next week. And that's what Paul Heyman said. And we'll take care of it tonight. And Sammy's trying to leave, and Roman's like, no. Stay here. We'll watch it together. So we get the Usos versus Drew McIntyre and Sheamus. Sheamus and Jimmy, they started off. This is just boom, 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 boom. And shout out to the Usos, man. I don't agree with Pro Wrestling Illustrated ranking them the best tag team in 2022. I felt FTR had a better year, but I see why they did that. Usos have had some really banger. Like, honestly, we really need to give them credit. They have been the anchor for a lot of main events and opening matches for the past year. So that's why I could see why they're ranked number one on PWI, because that is something that's heavily overlooked, as they have been the anchor for a lot of main events and opening matches on Raw and SmackDown. And those matches that they've been in have been really good, counting this one. So, as the match is going on, we get a backstage shot of Sammy eating popcorn with Roman and Paul Heyman, and you get Paul Heyman just looking like, huh? And right then it's just like, yeah, this, not only is he using the bloodline to get over, and he's using it to get cheered, he's guaranteeing stuff and not delivering. Now he's acting kind of goofy, because you look at all the Bloodline, they're serious. They'll joke, but they're all about winning and collecting titles. And Sammy is just this goofy guy. This reminds me of a movie I've seen or a TV show where, the proverbial nerd or what have you is with the popular kids, and then eventually the popular kids just kick him out because you're never one of us, and that whole thing. I think that's one that might be a wardrobe of how it will look when they present it to us on TV. So we get that. There was a double white noise kick out that both Sheamus and Drew McIntyre executed. Then there was a point where Drew went over the top. He dove over the top, and then Michael Cole with this snarky remark. That's how a big man flies over the top rope. Kind of showing saying a diss towards Top Dollar when his leg went out. And I was just like, that was really unnecessary. Like, that was weeks ago. So I don't know where they're going with the whole Top Dollar making fun of him. They did it last week, and now it's like over. What I hope doesn't happen is the same way they dragged out the mishap that Titus O'Neil had at the Greatest Royal Rumble, where he ran down the ramp and he slid into the bottom of the ring. I hope they don't drag that out with Top Dollar, because it's just like, one, it's unnecessary, it's overkill, and a lot of people put it past them. So it's just like, us as fans were just like, all right, yeah, he did that, but it's like, there's other wrestling, like, WWE can sometimes can do things too overkill as far as like snarky remarks like that, trying to get like, hey, kind of funny and nag people, but kind of can be overkill, and it's just like, all right, like, we just want, like, okay, move on from this. So after that, they cut back and Roman's eating popcorn with Sami Zayn, and right then I'm just like, this is Sammy, you're getting your ass beat by the Bloodline. Like, you can tell Roman Reigns is mocking Sami Zayn, and he has no clue that Sammy is mocking him, and it's just like, Sammy gonna get his ass beat. So you have that. Then you have a double super kick by the Usos. Then you have Solo Sikoa do the Samoan spike, and the spinning solo on Drew McIntyre on the barricade. Then you have Butch and Rich come and attack Solo, so they're fighting. And then you get Sheamus. He has, I believe, it was Jimmy Uso, and he loses balance by the ropes, and he falls, and then Jimmy does a roll up, and Jay helps him, and 1, 2, 3, they win. So the Usos win. They're still tag team champions. So you got the Sami Zayn and Roman Reigns in the back, and they're celebrating and everything. So that's the end of SmackDown, which was a really good show. Yeah. From the Charlotte Sonya Deville match, this was a fun show. Before that Charlotte Sonya Deville interaction, man, this was a very, like, vague show that was just like, man, like, there was very little enthusiasm, very little aggression in the matches. Just, I don't know, really interesting vibe. I wouldn't say weird, because again, this is very subjective, and for me, that's just how I felt. It was like kind of weird for me, but it was an interesting vibe up until that point when Charlotte and Sonya Deville interacted. But man, this Bloodline stuff with Sami Zayn, like, this whole night was basically Sami Zayn thinking he's good with the Bloodline, and you could see Roman was mocking him. Paul Heyman was giving him a heads up. You might want to be 3 steps ahead, and when you're 3 steps ahead, you're probably 3 steps behind, paraphrasing. Roman, I don't accept your apology. I'm the one that's and the way, like, it's like, Sammy, like, bruh, like, they're going to beat the hell out of you. So, like I said, Um, the logical point that they'll get to when they turn on Sami Zayn is that he's using the bloodline to get over. He's getting cheered louder than us. Yet at the same time, Roman's winning, Sammy's winning, or not Sammy, the Usos are winning, and Solo's winning. But Sammy ain't winning on his own. He's winning in spite or, with the help of the bloodline. So it's like, all right, like, this dude's just basically using us. All right, cool. Check. We got you. So that's going to be interesting when that turn happens. And I think a lot of people are already knowing it's going to happen. It's just when. Like, when is it going to happen? And it's going to be very interesting how that happens. I think, now that I think about it, it might be similar to how when Triple H kicked Randy Orton out of Evolution. Keep that in mind. So that is my review for SmackDown, January 6, 2023. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Hit the notifications whenever you're notified when the House of Wrestling drops its latest content. Follow me, Dedrian180, on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. With that, man, let's just try to enjoy WWE for what it is. And we don't know what's going to happen, but, man, just try to enjoy it, man. I'm doing it. So with that,